Hello. So there's going to be a little bit of gamemaker stuff. I've just downloaded a bunch of assets from itch, free stuff that I want to use for this game. I did start making this game, but I was stupid enough to put the directory in G drive and gone between my laptop and this messed up, so I'm going to start it again, so you'll get the benefit of seeing just how I make a game. And this time it's going to go on my external drive, so let's do a new folder. And hey, wait a minute, why have I got one here? I wonder if I've got a stable backup then. Oh, okay, well, looks like I do have a backup. Interesting. Oh yeah, okay, I think it might be safe now. I was going to start from scratch, but I think nah, it's still not loaded right. That sucks. Wonder if I delete this resource order. And put it up while I try and fix itself. Nah, anyway, let's just start. Let's just start from scratch. Right. Can't even delete the folder. I've got G drive sync on. Kind of annoying. Doesn't want to delete it. Right, let's just do a new folder. Right, so I'll make a core folder where I keep the gamemaker files. I'll make a build folder for builds, and I'll make a folder for releases. And make a folder for the source files, like sprites and stuff. So there's a couple I've downloaded. And not had a proper look at these just yet. So I've got this little guy who's going to be my main dude, and got some crops and stuff, backgrounds and layers. Character. character in here as well. Oh cool, you can be a little enemy or something. And yeah, cool. Got a little shop. Right, there's not really much in here to be honest. This one's got more. I like the style. I think that will match the character quite well. So let's see if we can work with these. Right. So Ourland core. Select the folder. Name Ourland. I've got like V01 and let's go. Right, so now we get a blank game, and what gamemaker does is gives you a room, and this room is this weird size. Now I'm going to do this as I want the Steam Deck resolution, which is 1280 by 100, because I want this to be a Steam Deck focused game, and I'm just going to call this R test. Right, that's how I'll use my naming for rooms. Will be a capital R, objects will be a capital O, and sprites capital S, sounds will be SO, shaders SH, scripts SC, or usually actually do F underscore. Kind of like mess up. My naming conventions are a bit weird, but whatever. Right, so we need an object like the player, so I'm going to create an object and call this O underscore player. And you get these like suggestions and things that GameMaker will do, like about naming and stuff. As long as you have a consistency, I think it doesn't really matter. Sort of detects how consistent you're being and suggests stuff. It's quite cool, but it's fine. So the player, I'm going to load in the player sprite. So I'm going to create a sprite within the sprites folder. So GameMaker makes all these folders up for you, and then it's up to you to put that object, that type of object in the right place. You can do whatever, but used to be a bit more fail safe. So I just make sure it's a sprite, and I'm just going to call this sprite player. And then I'm going to import the source file, run 3. I guess I could import them like that. As undo okay, and how fast is he going? 30 frames. So let's just do 8 so I can see it. Right, that looks cool. And to make him go left, I'll just flip the way it draws it. So I loaded a sprite in that I found on itch. I'm going to make the pivot bottom center, so that that's the position point. I can even bring that up 1 pixel, or even there, whatever. Right. In fact, I'm just gonna make it consistently bottom center. Right, it keeps it good. Now we can choose a sprite and add an event, a create event. Right, so this is when the object's thrown into a room and does this bit of code first. And this is where you set up like variables and stuff. So FRM for me is the frame ID, like for animation. I can also change the sprite ID. So in this case, sprite ID has already been assigned here, right? The default sprite ID, which is I think it's an actual built-in thing. Sprite ID, sprite index, and I'll do equals s_player, which it will recognize as a resource, right? So what I want to do actually is have this. There's different ways to do it. I could put all the animations in one sprite and know their frame ranges and use them, or I could say like player run, player idle, which I think might be more organized for definitely for updating stuff. So I'm just going to change this to player run. That is the recommended naming. SBRS player run. Right, what I'll do is I'll go with its name, and I'm going to use SBR player run. Right, let's go with that. I used to use SBR. In fact, let's go with the whole other thing. I'm just going to call this OBJ player. Right, all lowercase, and this was. So there's my naming convention changed. Oh, automatically fixed that. That's nice. Right, save. So we'll get that. Right, I can go to the room and I'll drop them in, and when I play the game, I think he'll automatically animate if I'm right. Yeah. Okay, there's a couple of other things that would be good because I've got a 4K monitor. This is tiny. So I can I think I can set the window size. Window set size, and what was the room? 1280 by 800. Right, and I'm just going to do times scale W scale. Right. I've not made this variable up yet, so I'll just say W scale equals 2. So I'm going to multiply it by 2 basically to get double the screen res, I think. Yeah. So it's now double the size, and that's better, but the position's off, so I'm just going to do window set position, and it's going to be my display size times 0.25, I think. In fact, I'll just do 0, 0. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to end up here. Alright, and I can't close it anymore. I have to do Alt F4. So I should actually do 20 so I can see the bar. More than 20, yeah, it's probably, let's just do 40. Let's do 40, 40 just so I can see it tabbed in a bit. Let's go even higher there, let's just do 100. Right, there we go. So that's, you got my guy running, he's not doing any idle, so let's create another sprite. And I'm pretty sure I downloaded the, oh yeah, I forgot him. And right, before. Individual sprites, so we got an attack. I just want like an idle. Attack. Idle. Alright, idle is 0, 1, 2. Idle 2, 0, 2, 1. Let's just load all these in. I'm not sure what all are. I think maybe different idles. So just click to see. Ah, it's got like a stance idle and a regular idle. It's going to get rid of the stance ones. So choose and delete. Let's just play it. Oh, super fast. So just change this to like 8, so it goes slower. It looks pretty cool. So we've got idles, let's name that SPR underscore player idle. Right, so we want to be able to switch between these two depending on the input. So by default, I'm going to change this to idle, and the sprite index is going to be the idle one. Right, cool, so that's the setup, right? It's the initial setup. What the sprite to use, and this green sprite index is like a built-in thing. It knows that it's going to switch the sprite. It's going to switch it from whatever I tell it, whatever one, right? If I say sprite index equals run, it's going to switch to that one, right? What I want is something that controls the frame rate, the speed, the animation. So I'm just going to make up underscore std equals I don't know, 0.5. I just want to see what happens with that. And I think you can use a built-in function. I think you can do sprite speed. No. Image speed. You go 0.5. Right, I think that works. So with that said, let's just see if it affects anything. So yeah, pretty slow. Let's do 0.05. We'll really see it then. Okay, that works. So we'll just use that function. Built-in functions are good. There's no point making up new variables. They just get messy. So sprite index player. So that's for the idle. Alright, let's say we press a key. Different ways to do it. You can handle it all in a step event, which every cycle will check the keyboard, it will check other things, this, that, the other, or you can do an actual key press. So key down checks if the key's already down, key pressed is the initial press, and key up is the release, right? So what happens when you first press the key? Right, so it just happens kind of once. When the key's down, it's like checking all the time. So that's what we want. We want key down, right. So we use the arrow keys. So it's the right arrow key. Just putting a little note with these 2 slashes. So right arrow key. The only problem with this is if we want to use like WASD as well, we have to copy the code and then do that. But we'll figure that out later. So what I want to change this to is sprite sprite index equals SBR. I'm going to change it to run. Right, so it's going to be the run animation. Let's just test that. Right, you know, when we press right, it's going to switch to the run animation. There you go. Oh, it's in a completely different position. So first we need to fix that. So the idle needs the pivot to be bottom center. It's good to test almost every time you make some significant change. There we go. right? But he's not switched back, he's just moving at that image index, the image speed. He's moving at that image speed, he's switched to that sprite, but he's not switching back when I let go. Right, so key down, right, and what I can actually do is key down no key, right, which basically means not pressing it. You notice when you create these events, it comes up with @desc, so @desc. Well, if I do 3 slashes and @desc, it should actually, yeah, it comes up as a note there, right, and that's pretty handy. So if I go to write and do @desc, right arrow key, right, and save that, and click on it, comes up. So it gives you that little note there based on this, which is sort of handy, right? So not pressing anything. I want to revert this back to the idle animation. So now when I'm not pressing anything, he's idle, and I press right, he does the run, but when I'm pressing nothing, it goes back to idle. Right, so that's basically all we have there. He's not actually physically moving yet because I've not said move, just animating. So key down right, we want to make a move, so we could do X, which is his like actual X position, equals X, so X is what it is, plus something, plus I could do something like I could use speed, right? Speed's another built-in variable that it's assuming you're going to use, so it goes green, I just do speed equals 2 up here, right? So I've just defined it. So now you can go right, but he's immediately gone right because this it just always adds to, like when you put a value into speed, it's always going to add. So if I do speed equals 0, you should stay still. It's a weird one, right? It just starts, it just always adds it to X, regardless of this. Right, so I don't even need X equals X plus speed. Speed just always gets applied to X. So what I want is speed equals 2 here. And if there's no key, speed equals 0. And I'll just put a note stand still. And I'll just put a note here, / move. If you're in the habit of putting semicolons at the end of stuff, feel free to do that. It's good practice. In GameMaker you don't have to. You get away with it. It knows that if it's a new line, how to manage that. But I'll do it just because it's good practice, right? Okay, so now when I press right, he's running. When I let go, he's standing still and he's switching the frames. The problem is his animation speed doesn't match. So he's gone like really kind of slow, but he's moving across the screen quickly. So the animation needs to be faster, or the speed needs to be slower. Right, so let's change the speed to 1. Now this is now a design choice, if that's the pace I want him to move at. So it looks kind of good, but he's just slow, right? So I'm going to put that back to 2, but now I need to double the image speed. So image speed equals 1, I think, because we had it at 0.5, so I just need to make sure I put that back to 0.5 when he's idle, right, like that. So the idle is kind of slow, and then that's good. Now he won't go left yet. I need to if I should make it double resolution, everything as well. So one way to do this actually is to go to the room. I'm going to half this value, so I'm going to do 800 by 640 by 400 is what I'm going to work in. Let's move him up to the middle of the room there. Let's work here. Actually, I want to see a bit more sky. I'm going to change the snapping to 16. I want to move him. I think there's maybe good. Right, kind of a third up. And get a little bit of land and some water or foreground here. Right, so let's just test that. I think the screen's going to be too small now. Okay, surprisingly that's good because I set this to, yeah, what I should actually do is use the rim size or whatever. Doesn't matter, I'll just do 640 by 400. I don't want to confuse myself. And I'll do scale 4. So it's going to be 4 times scale, yeah, so it's the same difference, right? Now what happens is, if he's gone right, and I quickly switch to holding left arrow key, he's not went idle because it's not detected no key, right? But we'll fix that by making him run left. So I'm just going to duplicate this, key down right, and do key down left. Change the note so it's left arrow key just so it looks correct there. And it's still going to be run. The image speeds is still going to be 1, but the speed's going to be -2, right? So negative basically means the other way. But there's a problem. He'll move the right way, but it won't look correct. He's moonwalking. So now what we need to do is to mess with the sprite image scale. So what you can do is image scale, x scale equals -1, right? But we need to then make sure that's positive for going right, and then idle can just carry that through, right? So that means idle will benefit from that. So run right, run left, let go. You can see he's already facing the right way because that image scale never got changed when there was no key. And there's no way you can mess that up now, right? So he's running, and that's our player. So let's say we want to use A and D as well. What might be good is to put all this into a script, right? And this into a script, or just duplicate. The easiest way to do it is just to duplicate. It's no harm in that, and we'll do key down letters. So that's left, so A, right? And instead of left arrow key, left. I'm just going to do left A key, right? And then for right, duplicate that, and then do key down D. Okay. Yep, D, and then change that right arrow key, right. Instead of saying right, I was going to do D key. Oops. And then A key. Right. We can actually see exactly what that is. I was going to say go left. Right, so A's go left and go right, Right, that makes it more sensible that we actually see pressing A's go left, pressing T's go right. Right, and it should work just the same. So A and D, and left and right. Right, and pressing them together or whatever doesn't change anything. And that's it. As you got control with those keys. Now let's look at adding some background tiles. So for this, it's a bit of a pain in the ass, I think. So you got your sprites here, and you got these tile sets. So what I like to do is just put create my sprite inside the tile sets, and I'll call this let's call it set. I don't know what to call it yet. I'm just going to import something. Let's see what I got. So like this Oakwoods background. Yeah, I don't want that one. I want the so tiles, this one. I'll worry about the background stuff later, but the tiles here are important right now. Okay, so it's just a single sprite. Let's call it set, I don't know, grassland or something. Right, and then I'm going to create a tile set. And I'll call this, I'll just call it tile set underscore grassland. Right, I'm just basically keeping them together. So I'm going to choose that sprite from the tile sets, and it just makes it easier to find stuff. Now we can see all the individual little tiles used, and I don't think they're 16 by 16, I think they are 32 by 32. Yeah, well, they sit quite nicely in those. By the looks of it. Okay, I mean, let's go with that. So we've got our tile set, and then we go to our room, and we've got our background, and we can actually add a tile layer. Doesn't matter the name right now, and we choose a tile set that we made from the sprite, and I'm going to change this to 16. Why is it not remember it? It doesn't let you change it, I suppose. I can do an offset. Okay, so I need 60, nothing on X and 16 on Y. Yeah, that's better. Oh, in fact, do 16 in there as well. We just want him to be in a tile like that. No, I'm going to change that back to 0. I'm fussy. I'm going to say, right, so I'm just going to grab a bunch of these ones, and you can see I can start to plop these down. You can see this sort of tile. Sort of. I don't know if I'm doing this right. Right, something to that effect. I don't think these tile as good as they could. Yeah. But anyway, it doesn't matter, right? I'm just making something up. I'll do some little bits like this. whatever you want to do, really, right? I'll just put a couple of them down. It looks terrible, right? Don't worry about it. I will definitely visit it again with new graphics because these are just free ones I downloaded. You can put these in. Is there a top of these? Yeah. Hopefully get those. Let's put this down in the foreground. Huh? And let's grab this guy and put him there. There we go. Okay, so let's play the game now. And now you can see it's a pretty good match to the graphics. The background and foreground is pretty nice, but he won't climb this hill, doesn't care about that. And to be fair, I'm not going to make a game where he goes vertical. I just want it to be horizontal, so my graphics here would just be more of this sort of thing, and delete some like that. And that's good enough. In fact, all of this I don't need. I would just have it something like that. And then whatever here, could be a UI, could be a reflection. It doesn't let you select stuff. Been a while since I used this. Pin, rectangle, select tiles. Alright, you can select a bunch, copy, and flip them. There you go. I can make a kind of pseudo reflection. Can do anything else? Auto tile, rotate, rectangle. Okay. Anyway, do something like that, which will now look like in a reflection. Only thing is the player's not reflecting, right? But I could do a little trick with that and draw them twice if I wanted, right? If I really wanted to show that. So I'll go to the player, and you see there's no draw event here, it just draws based on these values. If I add a draw event, choose that, and then I'll do draw sprite, sprite index, whatever subimage, sprite sub. I don't know what I put in here. I'm going to try -1 and do x, y. Like, I don't know if this will work. Yeah, look, it's, it needs the extended version of this, which means you can do image X scale. I know the Y scale's not going to change, but I'm going to use that anyway. Image Y scale. Right, so these are the built-in ones. No rotation. Color would be white. C_white is a built-in value, and the alpha is going to be 1. Right. So that actually does work as intended. Right. So then to make the reflection, I would do the same thing. So I'm going to do a note reflection, draw sprite, -1, position wise, I'm going to do Y plus, I don't know, 64 maybe, I don't know what the difference is, we can figure it out by looking at it, or I can go to the room and figure it out, but I'll just do it by testing. Image scale, image Y scale -1, so it's going to flip that, and we should have a reflection. Draw sprite x y plus 64. Let's just try -1 here. Why it's not drawn to them, but there we go. Right, and then to make this more convincing, this reflection, I'm going to make it darker by making an object. Let's call it obj reflection. Right, and all I want to do is go to the room and don't want this. Stupid big brush there it's got. Anyway, I want to figure out this position about here. I think it's 308 or something. Right, 3 something, 308. We'll try. So back to the object reflection, and it's going to do draw and do draw set alpha, right, 0.5 is going to be half opacity, and then draw set color white, and then I'm going to do draw set, let me just quit Discord for a second because I realise I was still in the chat. Draw set color, not white but black. Right, so half opacity, black, and then I'm going to do draw rectangle 0, 3, 10, I think it was, something like that, and then the room width was 640. And the room height is 400, no outline, so 0 there. And let's make sure I put these back, because if I don't do that, it will end up in other things. So I'll put these back to default like that. And that's, well, that's the start of it really. There's no spray, and yeah. Let's just try go to the room now and just drag that object in. Right, I'll just put it roughly where it's going to make sure I put it in the instances. Right, and hopefully, there you go, it's darkened that area, so we get a fake reflection. So anything that's going to be animated, you're basically drawing it twice. Now you could easily do this in a shader where it captures the whole image, flips it, draws it, and distorts it, and does whatever, and that's probably the way to do it moving forward. But shaders are a bit more complicated, so this is like a kind of little hack. So things like animating a sword strike and stuff like that, you would need maybe a state machine so that you're locked into that attack phase, and then when the animation's finished it sort of goes back to like an idle state. So I'll talk about that maybe in another video, but that's going to wrap up this one. The assets were found on itch. Just if you go to itch.io, you can also check me out on itch. I'm under rrfreelance-polytricity.itch.io. I've got a bunch of stuff that I sell, some free stuff as well. So definitely check out. I'll be pushing an update of this project on the Edge at some point when it's more ready. I'm not going to tell you too much about what it is, but I think once it's ready I'll explain it a bit more. So I found those assets here. If I go to, I guess, my library, I'll have the last ones that I downloaded. Well, maybe not. Maybe because they're free. Anyway, I just basically did a search on itch for free, and I think it did platformer. Yeah, and I got some stuff through here. Pixlar, platformer, free. Yeah, I mean you can get anything, animated characters and stuff. I might be able to find it through my history, but I don't want to look at my history. I see too much. Okay, so yeah, so that's it. Let's just go over everything. So the player code is when it's created. Frame ID for animation. We don't actually even use that, right? I don't remember using that, and it usually tells you if you use it or not. Finishes. I don't remember using FRM. Am I using FRM? No, I'm just using -1 as an automatic frame cycling thing, so I don't actually use FRM. And I'm gonna put them down there. Just these can be handled maybe in another object, like setting up the screen at the very beginning, because it's tied to the player, which is a bit weird, but because it's the only object that I've created. Reflection, okay. Different key presses. So there's the no key, what happens when we're not pressing anything. And that's really it. And they've got the sprite loaded in for the tile set, and then actually making it into a tile set asset, and then the room. I think this is the most complicated bit, is like load it in as a sprite, define it as a tile set, put in these values, then go to the room, have a tile set layer, define the tile set that you're using. There's a few steps to that. That's this one, right? And then you can sort of grab a bunch of things and put them in. You can set the grid spacing here, although it doesn't let you do that when you've got your tile set defined. You can only offset it, I think. You got depth things here as well. I've never really used much of these. There's a blend in game only. Never actually tried this blend. Oh, blend mode. PM add. It might look a bit weird. Blend. Boxes, clouds, colorize. Heat haze. Oh, look at that. Do you know what that makes me want to do actually? I want to take the, because the whole thing's like a heat haze. That's pretty cool. I've never seen this before. That's basically a shader right there. So I could like duplicate that layer and say none, and let's rename that layer as water, right? And then delete all the other stuff, right? Because we only want it to be in the stuff below. Let me just hide that. Okay, so that's the tiles. Now the tiles don't need to be there with this one. And then we've got like an instant water effect. So the only side effect to that is the player itself won't have that. Yeah, but that can be worked out. That's pretty cool. We've basically got water for free, and I think there actually might be water in here. We've got ripples. Whoa, so that's just a shader doing that. Radius. Speed. I quite like the, what's it, underwater? Nice. Old film. So let's go back to heat haze. That was quite good. Distort amount 2 and distort amount 1. Chroma offset. Let's take that off. Distort speeds. Distort scale. Okay, I mean, that's pretty good, apart from the player's not distorted. That's pretty good, for free, for pretty much just built in. It's not showing me a true representation of it though. It's a bit different when I play the game. So I guess to fix the drawing of the character is I would probably have that effect also on the instances, but I would have a copy of this. I'd have a copy of the instances layer, and I would draw the character twice. Let's just do that. I just want to show you, right? So I'm just going to duplicate this layer, create a new instances layer, and I'm just going to rename this as instances water, right? And so we've got a player there, and I'm just going to duplicate the character. Let's call this reflection, player reflection, and the only thing I'm going to not do is not draw the main one here, and then in the player not draw the reflection one, right? Oops. And then I'm going to go to instances water in the room and assets and bring in player reflection and put them in exactly the same place. I need that to be 16. 16. Right. And then the water, this effect heat haze. Can I save this? Alright, let's just do instance water effect heat haze. And then I need to copy these values for it to look correct. 0017. 12.3, 1.3, 20.3. Let's see, we get 2900. Right, and then hopefully, there you go. I'm quite happy with that. That's going to be the start to my game at least, and I just need some assets for placeholders for the things I want to make, and I'll spoil you with that another time. But in less than an hour I've got a little effect that I like, and yeah, and I can add in a background. Actually, let's just do that. Only if I add in a background, it wouldn't be distorted the same. I would have to do a background layer with the effect as well. There's such an easier way to do this, especially when you've got all the enemies in. Like, you're just going to do a shader effect quite like that. So I would introduce that later, but I'll bring in a background just for the sake of it just now. So, and you know what? That's probably enough. It's easy. It's easy enough to add it in. You just add a sprite and then you put it in a layer and a background. Like, the background has nothing there, right? So in fact, let's just do it. Create a sprite, and I'm just going to call this BKG because it's a sprite, although it's a background. And I'm just going to bring in this one, and that should be it. And go to your room background, and then I think you just drag it in, yeah, like that. There we go. Right, and that's actually, I don't mind this blue being here. That actually looks okay. And I'm just going to background Moonlight. And there you go. Actually, I like the little rim that's just made here, kind of for free, because that's kind of realistic. I guess it would be good to have scrolling so we don't just disappear off the screen. That'll be in another video, another whole thing. Like, if I can get that working in parallax scrolling with foreground objects, and yeah, it's going to be so cool. I'm quite happy with the way that's looking now. So thanks for watching this video. Hope it helps you make your first little platformer game or whatever. I'll try and document all of these and yeah, make a cool game. Thanks for watching. Bye.